small monies in the transaction. Ownership, for me, is what our governments need to focus on. If you left me in power, and there was an organization coming in to do rice farming, give them the 1 million acres. Tell them to sell 51% of their shares on the stock exchange. So that suddenly there's Ghanaian involvement. The profits, some of the profits are being kept locally. It's good for them, it's good for us. Because there's stability. Nobody in the village will go and invade their offices. Because the villagers own $22 each, which they purchased with their own money in stocks. And there's nothing wrong with it. If you want to invest 300 billion in Africa, then break it into 2 billion lots and invest with the Africans so everybody benefits. It's a far more stable construct. This is what I think. I think we have to start working at evolving in that direction. If you see a car sitting out there, what percentage do you think is the labor component? 7%. 7. What about the rest? That's where the profit is. So when Africans are running around and governments are negotiating and saying, will you give us jobs? Will you give us jobs? Whoa, stop. Let's take 50% of the shareholding and pay for it. When we've paid for it, don't worry, we all know nepotism. The Germans like importing Germans. We also like importing Ghanaians. We'll put Ghanaians in there, the Ghanaians on the board, their cousins will also work for the company. We don't need to complain, it's all welcome.
Full of innovation today, full of innovation. Any other questions from the floor? I can see one at the back and just one here, and then I just want to close out some thoughts from these two on our next panel as well. Right at the back, I think, then. Keep them very short, if you will.
Hi, good evening. My name is Denta. I work for an organisation called Goober Awards, which stands for the Ghana UK-based Achievement Awards. And we basically recognise Ghanaians and people that invest in Ghana. And one of your points that you mentioned, Becky, was that why is it that we don't know more about the Hesses of this Africa, you know? And I think that it's because we're not recognising, as Africans are not recognising our talents. And I think it's important that we as Africans acknowledge each other, recognise each other, and appreciate that we do have someone that is like Bill Gates, even though he doesn't want to be recognised as Bill Gates, but he is the Bill Gates of West Africa. Why are we not pushing him in the limelight? Why don't we have the likes of CNN, BBC supporting that, pushing him, so that the young people of our generation will know that we, Africans, have someone like Hesse and the rest.
Thank you. CNN's African Voices, I can tell you, inside Africa, one of these programmes a number of times.
Actually, I have to stand up for them. In both cases, they've been very, very positive, very helpful, and I have already been on African Voices.
Well, thank you for making a very good point. I think there was one other hand towards the back, and let's just take a short question from you, and then we'll move on, because I can see my red light flashing away in front of me, sir.
Thank you. Just another question from me on the green economy. One way Africa could begin to innovate is in systems thinking. Anyone who knows Africa on the ground, these vast river basins could be made into integrated river basin management programs. And this is where you could bring the plantations and the software people and the breweries and different organisations and different types of projects together into an integrated approach. I don't know if this is, my background, by the way, is in what I call brown development in tea, coffee, palm oil, so I am speaking from some experience.
Very quick line on that.
What you say is absolutely right, and that is at a macro scale. There is a lot more innovation possible at a smaller scale, at a country level itself. What you're saying is at a continental scale, system thinking, which should be absolutely wonderful.
Thank you, everybody. Let me just put just one final question, as it were, to our panellists here. The following panel will discuss Africa's demographic dividend and ask whether that is an asset or a liability. We talked to two particularly young but bright young students who are going to talk about where they think Africa goes next. Africa has an incredible demographic. Do you see it as an